Shalom. My name is Adam, and I welcome you to the parable of the Vineyard. Every day, Yahuwah is waking up a remnant, a group of people who are coming out of deceptions, realizing our walk is to consist of faith and obedience to His righteous commands. Each week, we read through and examine a portion of the Torah, allowing the Spirit of the Most High to guide, teach, and open our eyes and ears to the wondrous matters out of His law. Join us as we seek to be refined by His Word, preparing ourselves for the return of our King of Kings, being faithful and obedient, walking in His way, truth, and life. Shabbat Shalom and welcome back, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the Parable of the Vineyard YouTube live stream of our Torah portion reading. My name is Adam, your host, and I welcome you. This is week 47, Reeh, which means to see or behold, which covers Deuteronomy 11:26 through 16:17. Lots to cover. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, Yahuwah Most High, we just come before you, bless you and praise you in Yahushua's name. We thank you for another week, Father. We thank you for this Shabbat. We thank you for this rest. We thank you for opening our eyes to the lies of this world and the truth of your word that stands forever. Father, we just ask that you bless our eyes and ears as we study your word, that we may grow together and bring forth the fruits that you desire. We bless you and praise you in Messiah Yahushua's mighty name. Amen and hallelujah. Shofar. Shofar, so good. Let's get into it. Deuteronomy 11:26. Behold, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse. A blessing, if you obey the commandments of Yahweh Haikum, which I command you this day, and a curse, if you will not obey the commandments of Yahweh Haikum, to turn aside out of the way which I command you this day, to go after other Elohim which you have not known. This is what I love. It's, people that don't believe will twist this and be like, we didn't choose to be here, but yet we have to keep His commandments. I love it. I love that it's optional. I love that life or death is optional. I love that blessing or curse is optional. I've mentioned this many times, but I can't stop mentioning it because I think it's profound that you look at all of creation and everything does what it's supposed to do in order. The sun comes around every single day like it's supposed to. It goes through all the different gates according to what is written in Enoch, which, has the seasons, summer, winter, fall, so on and so forth. The moon has its phases perfectly, back and forth, all the time. The trees, they know exactly when to shed their leaves and when to sprout them back again, and the corn, the seed, it knows exactly what to do when it goes in the ground and gets a little wet and moist and it sprouts up. Everything does what's supposed to be. The bees do what they're commanded to do. The ants do what they're commanded to do. But man, he didn't create us he didn't create us without an option. He gave us choice. And this is the beginning of this Torah portion is all about the choice. This is the great contest of life. Let's read about this a little bit. Deuteronomy 30:15 through 16. See, Reeh, it's same word but different Torah portion. See, I have set before you this day life and good, death and evil. And as we read in the prophets in Isaiah, I think 5:20, bitter or sweet, good or evil, bitter or sweet, good or evil, sweet or bitter, life or death. In that I command you this day to love Yahweh Elohim, and he's going to tell you how to do that, to walk in His ways and to keep His commandments and His statutes and His judgments, that you may live and multiply. And Yahweh your Elohim shall bless you in the land where you go to possess it. And this is still a promise for us because, as Hebrews 13 says, we have no continuing city, but we seek one to come. New Jerusalem. The promise is still set before us right now. And we have that choice. Deuteronomy 32, 46 through 47. And he said unto them, set your hearts unto all the words which I testify among you this day, which you shall command your children to observe to do, all the words of this Torah. For it is not a vain thing for you, because it is your life. The Torah is known as the way, Psalm 119:1, the truth, Psalm 119:142, and the life, Deuteronomy 46 through 47. Messiah declared that he is the way, the truth, and life. He was declaring that he is the word, and that we have to follow it. It's not that we have to. I think a lot of us are getting to a point where like we get to. Praise Yah. We get to walk in these ancient paths that were set before our forefathers who decided not to walk in them. But we said something different. 2 Esdras 7, 127 through 30. He answered and said, this is the meaning of the contest which every man who is born on earth shall wage. This is the great contest. That if he is defeated, he shall suffer what you have said. And this was the angel, or maybe even Messiah, the Word, speaking to Ezra. And Ezra was like, basically just saying that those who don't get it are going to suffer torment. So he said that if he is defeated, he shall suffer what you have said. But if he is victorious, he shall receive what I have said, which is everlasting life and joy and peace. For this is the way of which Moshe, while he was alive, spoke to the people, saying, choose for yourself life, that you may live. But they did not believe him, or the prophets after him, or even myself, who have spoken to them. That's why I believe this is Messiah. But the point is, life and death. We also know Proverbs says life and death is in the tongue. Isn't the power of life and death is in the tongue. Very important stuff. Very important what we declare, what we say. And it shall come to pass when Yahuwah has brought you, so back to Deuteronomy 11, verse 29, it shall come to pass when Yahuwah has brought you into the land where you go to possess it, that you shall put the blessing upon Mount Gerizim and the curse upon Mount Ebal. And are they not on the other side of the Yarden, by the way where the sun goes down, in the land of the Canaanim, which dwell in the plain over against Gilgal, beside the plains of Moreh? For ye shall pass over the Yarden to go in to possess the land which Yahuwah gives you, and ye shall possess it and dwell therein. Mount Gerizim, very cool. It's still standing there today. Whoa. I don't know why that's popping up. Here we go. Okay. So it's still, and so one would stand on one side. Here is better. Mount Gerizim, and the others would stand on the other side. And in here, this would be like a natural amphitheater type effect, so that millions could hear one voice. And we know that Joshua built an altar up there, still standing there today. Very cool stuff. So that people are estimating around 2 million people. Gerizim blessings, Mount Ebal curses. The Levites here in the middle. Natural amphitheater. Pretty cool stuff. For you shall pass over the Yarden to go in to possess the land which Yahuwah gives you, and you shall possess it and dwell therein. And you shall guard to do all the commandments and judgments which I set before you this day. So some people will say that the Torah is only to be kept in the land. I want to share a couple things with you. A couple of pieces of evidence. Here's Exhibit 1. Exhibit A. 2 Esdras 13, 39 through 47. And as for your seeing him gather to himself another multitude that was peaceable, these are the 10 tribes which were led away from their own land into captivity in the days of King Hoshea, whom Shalmaneser, the king of the Assyrians, led captive. He took them across the river, and they were taken into another land. But they formed this plan for themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the nations and go to a more distant region, where mankind had never lived, that there at least they might keep their statutes which they had not kept in their own land. Interesting. And they went in by the narrow passages of the Euphrates River, for at that time the Most High performed signs for them, and stopped the channels of the river until they had passed over. Through that region there was a long way to go, a journey of a year and a half, and that country is called Arzareth. Some people would speculate this is America. I kind of tend to believe that. There's some old Tartaria maps that puts Arzareth kind of, I think where Russia is. That's a possibility too. But I think this might be a good explanation as to why in America there's relics, there was archaeological finds of things with the name of Yah in it, the commandments, the Shema, things like that, because I believe maybe these 10 tribes were led over to the new land where no one had ever dwelt before. And in that land, right, it says that there they at least might keep their statutes which they had not kept in their own land. Then they dwelt there until the last times, and now when they are about to come again, the Most High will stop the channels of the river again, so that they may be able to pass over. Therefore you saw the multitude gathered together in peace. So we also learn in 2 Ezra 15 that these people are here until the end times, and then he pulls them out again. 2 Ezra 15:10, Behold, my people is led like a flock to the slaughter. I will not allow them to live any longer in the land of Egypt. I believe this is spiritual Egypt, which I believe America is right now. But I will bring them out with a mighty hand and with an uplifted arm, and will smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all its land. Let Egypt mourn and its foundations for the plague of chastisement and punishment that Yahuwah will bring upon it. And I think this is what a lot of people are seeing, that America will eventually go down one day. And I believe that's according to the decree of the Most High, that Egypt will mourn. I also believe that this is the time when his people come out again. It's the pattern following the greater Exodus. It's talked about in Jeremiah 16:9, I think also 23. Here's an interesting passage from Zechariah 10 verse 9. This is in the Aramaic though. It says, and as I scattered them among the nations, and they were remembering my fear in a distant land, so shall they prolong the years of their life with their children and shall return. I think that's kind of cool. Also, in the book of Tobit, which was included in the Apocrypha of the 1611 KJV and other canons, we see that Tobiah, who was of the tribe of Naphtali and was taken into captivity in Nineveh, was keeping the feast of Shavuot in Nineveh. And he was declared as a righteous man and a prophet, and an angel visited him. So I think where we're at least where I'm at, is when I take a look at the Torah, I'm looking at it from a perspective of what can we keep? Not, we can't do that. We can't do that. Let me toss that. What can we keep? And if Tobiah could keep Shavuot in Nineveh, I believe we can keep these feast days here. I believe Tobit's scripture, and I believe that's an example. And I believe 2 Esdras is scripture, and it says that he took them to a more distant land that they might keep their statutes there, which they had not kept in their own land. So, something to consider, at least. Okay, chapter 12, Deuteronomy 12. These are the commandments and judgments which ye shall guard to do in the land which Yahuwah Elohim of your fathers gives you to possess it all the days that you live upon the earth. You shall utterly destroy all the places where the nations which you shall possess serve their Elohim, upon the high mountains and upon the hills and under every green tree. And you shall overthrow their altars and break their pillars and burn their Asherah poles with fire. And ye shall hew down graven images of their Elohim and destroy the names of them out of that place. Well, we're living in a distant land today, and I think we can glean some stuff from like Daniel. Daniel was in Babylon, filled with idols and Asherah poles and false Elohim, and we see that he didn't go around, tearing all that stuff down. So we have to realize that we are in captivity, and this is not something we do right now. However, in a spiritual sense, so when we also look at the Torah, we also can glean the spirit of it. Can we tear down the idols that are in our hearts? Well, we should. We better. No idolatry. Deuteronomy 12:4. You shall not do so unto Yahuwah Haikum, but unto the place which Yahuwah Haikum shall choose out of all your tribes, to put his name there, even unto his habitation shall you seek, and there you shall come. And there you shall bring your burnt offerings, and your sacrifices, your tithes, your heat offerings of your hand, and your vows, and your freewill offerings, and the firstlings of your herds and of your flocks. This is Jerusalem. We know that this is not named at this point, but this is Jerusalem. And we recognize that we can't celebrate the feasts perfectly. But just because we can't do it to the letter, can't we do it in the spirit? I mean, even Paul said, let us keep the feast. 1 Corinthians 3:16, know you not that you are the temple of Elohim, and that the spirit of Elohim dwells in you? So we know that in the past, we had the tabernacle. They had the tabernacle, and the spirit of Elohim dwelt in that place. But one day he left. He was gone. Now, I believe we are individually and corporately, as in individually and as in a body as a whole, that we are the temple and that his Spirit dwells with us. So if we are only to do these things where the Spirit of the Most High dwells, if the Spirit of the Most High is dwelling in us, can we not do these feasts in the lands and dispersion that we're in? I believe so. 2 Corinthians 6:16, and what agreement has the temple of Elohim with idols? For you are the temple of the living Elohim. As Elohim has said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. John 14:23, Yahusha answered and said unto him, if a man love me, he will keep my words, and my Father will love him, and we will come unto him and make our home with him. Matthew 18:20, for where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there I am in the midst of them. So this is why I believe that we can keep the feasts in dispersion. There's some people that say that we can't. Some people have even, vehemently said, don't do it. You might be in trouble. I'm just giving you some evidences as to why I believe we can. Revelation 14, when I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his Father's name written in their foreheads. So, just some interesting things to consider. Deuteronomy 12:7, and there you shall eat before Yahuwah Haikum, and you shall rejoice in all that you put your hand into, you and your households wherein Yahuwah Haikum has blessed you. The burdensome Torah. Sorry, I shouldn't be so facetious on that, but we hear it constantly, don't we? That the Torah is too hard, nobody can do it, it's a burden. So many misrepresentations of works of flesh. But people don't realize that. I mean, this is one of those. This is one of those scary commandments. You shall rejoice. You shall eat before Yahuwah Haikum, and you shall rejoice in all that you put your hand unto. You shall not do after the things that we do here this day. Every man whatsoever is right in his own eyes. We learn this, that this is not a good thing to do everyone to do what's right in their own eyes. This is the last verse of Judges 21, verse 25. In those days there was no king in Israel. Every man did that which was right in his own eyes. So we know we have a king and a high priest in the heavenlies, but here down on earth, we have no unified leader. As much as I'd like to have one, that would be just amazing that we all can report to or seek advice from, or like an active priesthood or something on here. That would be amazing. We can get some unification here. We're all so fractured and divided over all these different topics, and I understand why. I don't like it, but I understand why. But I don't think that's a good excuse for everyone to just do what's right in his own sight. I believe that we should look at the scriptures and determine Yah's will and his right rulings and everything according to what's written. So just an excuse to say everyone to do what's right in his own eyes, I don't think is a good thing, because he specifically says, you shall not do after all the things we do here this day, every man whatsoever is right in his own eyes. So that's not a good thing. For you are not yet as come to the rest, to the inheritance which Yahuwah Haikum gives you. And that's another promise still here, nestled here in Hebrews 4. There remains therefore a rest, or Shabbat, to the people of Elohim. For he that has entered into his rest, he has also ceased from his own works, as Elohim did from his. So here's the key verse. Let us labor, therefore, to enter into that rest, lest any man fall after the same example of unbelief. And that's, of course, pointing back to the whole wilderness experience, which we've been talking a lot about the last couple of months. So we're not resting right now. Of course, we rest on Shabbat, and that's what it said in Hebrews 4:9. There still remains a Shabbat and a future Shabbat, meaning the millennial reign. And until we get there, we don't cease. There's a passage. Oh, I should have put this in the notes. I didn't have it. There's a passage. I think it's in Isaiah. Is it 62 or 63? Let's take a look. Hold on. No, it's 63. Okay. Is it 64? Let me see here. This is how I search. No. Oh, 62. Did I miss it? Oh, I did miss it. I scrolled right by it. Isaiah 62:6. I have set watchmen upon your walls, O Jerusalem, which shall never hold their peace day nor night. You that make mention of Yahuwah, keep not silence. Stop. Don't zip it. And give him no rest till he establish, until he make Jerusalem a praise in the earth. So until New Jerusalem comes, until that rest comes, don't stop laboring. All right, Deuteronomy 12:10. But when you go over the Yarden and dwell in the land which Yahuwah Haikum gives you to inherit, and when he gives you rest from all your enemies round about, so that you dwell in safety, then there shall be a place which Yahuwah Haikum shall choose to cause his name to dwell there. There you shall bring all that I command you, your burnt offerings, and your sacrifices, your tithes, and the heave offerings of your hand, and all your choice vows which you vow unto Yahuwah. And ye shall rejoice. There it is again. You shall rejoice before Yahuwah Haikum, you and your sons, and your daughters, and your menservants, and your maidservants, and the Levite that is within your gates. For as much as he has no part nor inheritance with you, guard yourself that you not offer your burnt offerings in every place that you see. And this is usually one of the quoted verses. See, you can't do it anywhere but Jerusalem. But in the place which Yahuwah shall choose in one of your tribes, there shall you offer your burnt offerings, and there shall you do all that I command you. So once again, a couple of things to consider. 1 Peter 2:5, you also as living stones are built up a spiritual house, a holy priesthood, to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to Elohim by Yahushua HaMashiach. So if we recognize that we are the temple, and the Most High's Ruach dwells in us, and he's with us, and we're also to offer up spiritual sacrifices, as Peter says. It says here, guard that you do not offer your burnt offerings, right, your sacrifices in every place that you see, but only in Jerusalem. Hebrews 13:14, for we have no continuing city, but we seek one to come, New Jerusalem. But by him, therefore, let us offer the sacrifice of praise to Elohim continually, that is, the fruit of our lips, giving thanks to his name. So that would honestly would be saying, if you say that you can only do the feast days in Jerusalem because of these verses, it says you can only offer your sacrifices there. Well, that means you'd have to stay true to that same statement. You could therefore not offer any of your spiritual sacrifices in any place other than Jerusalem if you follow the same train of thought. John 4:21-24, Messiah prophesied that that Jerusalem wouldn't be the only place to worship him anymore. John 4:21. Yahushua said unto her, woman, believe me, the hour comes when ye shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father. So he's prophesying that people aren't going to be worshiping in Samaria or Jerusalem. You worship, you know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. But the hour comes, and now is, when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father seeks such to worship him. Elohim is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. So what do you think the Father would want? It's hard to ask this question, but what do you think the Father would want? For you to just completely forget about the feast days because we're not in the land, or to do the best we can? I think it's the latter, but of course that's opinion. That's my opinion. Now, Deuteronomy 12:15, notwithstanding, you may kill and eat flesh in all your gates, whatsoever your soul lusts after, according to the blessing of Yahuwah Haikum, which he has given you. The unclean and the clean may eat thereof. This is not talking about you can eat clean or unclean food. This is talking about people that are spiritually, ritually clean and unclean. They can eat of the meat, as of the roebuck and as of the deer. Only you shall not eat the blood. You shall pour it upon the earth as water. There's a lot of doctrines of veganism or vegetarianism going around. And while I was a vegetarian for years because I felt called to do that, for people to say you can't eat meat is anti-Torah. Torah is very clear that you can eat meat. So recognize the difference. Even Paul says, some believe you can eat meat and some, vegetables only. We have different callings. There's different times in our lives, but for people to say you cannot eat meat is totally un-Torah. Totally un-Torah. Look at what the world's preaching. Eating meat is a privilege, right? You may not eat within your gates the tithe of your grain, or of your wine, or of your oil, or of the firstlings of your herds, or of your flock, nor any of your vows which you vow, nor your freewill offerings, or heave offerings of your hand. But you must eat them before Yahuwah in the place which Yahuwah shall choose you. You and your son, and your daughter, and your manservant, and your maidservant, your employees basically, and the Levite that is within your gates. You shall rejoice before Yahuwah in all that you put your hands unto. Guard yourself that you forsake not the Levite as long as you live upon the earth. When Yahuwah shall enlarge your border as he has promised you, and you shall say, I will eat flesh, because your soul longs to eat flesh. You may eat flesh, whatsoever your soul lusts after. So keep in mind, also, I think we should be careful about meat. Remember, it was meat that led the Israelites astray in the wilderness because they lusted after meat and led them away from Yahuwah. We also see that, I'm not judging Isaac, but we can see that because he loved of the venison that, or the meat that Esau would often hunt and kill and bring back, Yitzhak favored Esau over Jacob. Maybe a little bit of a judgment impairing there because of meat. And we live in a day and age today where I think just going to the store like Wally Mart and getting their market side butcher meat and getting Tyson meat or these major massive processing plants, I think is honestly kind of dangerous. I'm not here to judge you, or because I know we're all different places. You may just be waking up and like, hey, I want to keep Torah, and you're like, what are you talking about, meat? Research for yourself. Research what halal is. 70% of meat on the shelves is halal. Some people say, well, that's fine. You know, I'm in a place where I'd say I would want to be careful, because when you look at how that's processed, it's blessed to, I believe, a foreign god. Some people would say that the Muslims' God, Allah, is the same person as Yah. I'd say absolutely not. But anyways, I think we should be at a place, no, I'm at a place where I would like to know where that meat came from. Not all of us have that luxury. Some of us live in the country where maybe you know a farmer and he butchers his own, or takes it to a shop and it's butchered on a clean surface and all the blood's drained and it's not offered up to some strange god. Because meat is a little bit different than dairy and vegetables, grain. While you may say, hey, well, the plant is living and the plant has to die for you to eat it, it's a little different than spilling blood. Because even though you don't see it, you go to that store and there's chicken breasts just sitting right there, or a whole chicken, or that favorite steak you have. Well, and literally blood had to be shed for that animal, from that animal, for you to eat it. So I think we should be careful of where it came from. That's all I'm saying. Just coming from a brother saying, hey, maybe we should just consider. I'm not telling you what to do. I can't. I have no authority to tell you what to do. I'm just your brother. These Torah portions are like, we're just hanging out in my house and we're going over to a Torah portion, and I'm just sharing what's on my heart. And right now it's a one-way conversation because you can't talk back, but you can in the, or respond back. You can in the comment section. But anyways, all right. Let's keep going. Deuteronomy 12:21. If the place which Yahuwah Elohim has chosen to put his name there to be too far from you, then you shall kill of your herd and of your flock which Yahuwah has given you, as I have commanded you, and you shall eat in your gates whatsoever your soul lusts after. Even as the roebuck and of the deer is eaten, so shall you eat them. The unclean and the clean shall eat of them alike. Only be sure that you eat not the blood, for the blood is the life, and you may not eat the life with the flesh. You shall not eat it. You shall pour it upon the earth as water. And it's no wonder you look at research of how blood is used and misused in this world, and you'll see they use it even for cosmetology. Is that the right word? Like, I saw it like last year, or when I was doing this Torah portion. I think I talked about it last year, but one of the things is it's like you'd get some of your own blood, like you'd prick your finger or whatever and get some of that blood, and they put it like around the eyes or whatever, and it's supposed to remove wrinkles. And no wonder it works, because life is the life of the flesh is in the blood. And I believe also that's why there's things exist like adrenochrome, and we look in the book of Yashar that Pharaoh had these open sores that couldn't be healed, and so he had the physicians go take Israelite babies and drain their blood and apply the blood to a sores to try to heal it. And you got to wonder why some of these people, the princes or kings of the earth, live so long. Like somebody that just passed away at 96. I wonder why they were so upright and strong to the last day. Maybe it's because they partook in some of this, because that's what the sins were thousands of years ago. You think any of that's changed? No, I think it's gotten worse. Just opinion, though. Deuteronomy 12:25, you shall not eat it, that it may go well with you and with your children after you, when you shall do that which is right in the sight of Yahuwah. Only your holy things which you have, and your vows you shall take, and go into the place which Yahuwah shall choose. And you shall offer your burnt offerings, the flesh and the blood, upon the altar of Yahuwah Elohim. And the blood of your sacrifices shall be poured out upon the altar of Yahuwah Elohim. And you shall eat the flesh. Guard and hear all these words which I command you, that it may go well with you, and with your children after you, when you do that which is good and right in the sight of Yahuwah Elohim. When Yahuwah Elohim shall cut off the nations from before you, where you go to possess them, and you succeed them, and dwell in their land, take heed to yourself, that you be not snared by following them. After that they be destroyed from before you, and that you inquire not after their Elohim, saying, how did these nations serve their Elohim? Even so will I do likewise. You shall not do so unto Yahuwah, for every abomination to Yahuwah which he hates have they done unto their Elohim, for even their sons and their daughters they have burnt in the fire to their Elohim. What things soever I command you, guard to do it. You shall not add thereunto, nor diminish from it. What he's basically saying is, I've given you these commandments. This is what you're supposed to do. Don't take away from these commandments, and don't add to it. Don't participate in Christmas and pagan holidays, because you know what? The rest of the world doesn't, and it seems fun. Just because you don't want to rub your parents or family the wrong way, and you just go ahead and do it anyway. No, we don't do it. That's what this is saying right here. How does the world celebrate Messiah? He's saying, don't do it that way. Do it how I commanded you, is what he says. Deuteronomy 13, the big one. They call this the Deuteronomy 13 test. To test a prophet. If there arise among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and gives you a sign or a wonder, and the sign or wonder come to pass, whereof he spoke unto you, saying, let us go after other Elohim which you have not known, and let us serve them. You shall not hearken unto the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams, for Yahuwah Haikum proves you to know whether you love Yahuwah Haikum with all your heart and with all your soul. This is a big one, especially on YouTube land, on Facebook. A lot of people will proclaim, Yah told me this, Yah told me that. That's something I think we should take really carefully. When someone says, Yah told me this, you are declaring that Yah has spoken to you as a prophet or a prophetess. There's a difference between sharing a dream and being like, hey, I just had this dream, I don't know what it means, or I had a dream and this is prophetic and this is going to happen. I think we should be very careful of our steps. Jeremiah 23. I have heard what the prophets said, that prophesy lies in my name, saying, I have dreamed, I have dreamed. How long shall this be in the heart of the prophets that prophesy lies? Yea, they are prophets of deceit of their own heart, which think to cause my people to forget my name by their dreams, which they tell every man to his neighbor, as their fathers have forgotten my name for Baal. The prophet that has a dream, let him tell a dream. And he that has my word, let him speak my word faithfully. What is the chaff of the wheat, says Yahuwah? Is not my word like as a fire, says Yahuwah, and like a hammer that breaks the rock in pieces? Therefore, behold, I am against the prophets, says Yahuwah, that steal my words, every one from his neighbor. Behold, I am against the prophets, says Yahuwah, that use their tongues and says, he said. Behold, I am against them that prophesy false dreams, says Yahuwah, and do tell them, and cause my people to err by their lies and by their lightness. Yet I sent them not, nor commanded them. Therefore they shall not profit this people at all, says Yahuwah. And when this people, or the prophet, or a priest shall ask thee, saying, what is the burden of Yahuwah? You shall then say unto them, what burden? I will even forsake you, says Yahuwah. And then a little earlier, verse 16 through 17. Thus says Yahuwah Sabaoth, hearken not unto the words of the prophets that prophesy unto you. They make you vain. They speak a vision of their own heart, and not out of the mouth of Yahuwah. They say still unto them that despise me, Yahuwah has said, you shall have peace. And they say unto every one that walks after the imagination of his own heart, there it is again, no evil shall come upon you. What is verse 17 here in Jeremiah 23 saying? People, this is a prophet telling a group of people that despise him. And if you want to do a research on who despises him, you can go back to Exodus 20. He says he shows you very clearly that people who love him keep his commandments, and people that don't hate him. So this is talking about specifically a person, a prophet, that speaks to a group of people that despise him, even though they don't realize they despise him because they think they love him, but they don't show it because they've cast away his ways from them, even if they're unaware because they've inherited lies through successive generations. But this is a person talking to those people and saying, Yah has said, you shall have peace. And they say to everyone that walks after the imagination of his own heart, no evil shall come upon you. Just keep doing what you're doing. Come to Sunday church, pay your tithes, and you'll be whisked away in the rapture. That's what verse 17 is saying of Jeremiah 23. At least the understanding that I have. Dreams. Sirach 34, 1 through 8. A man of no understanding has vain and false hopes, and dreams give wings to fools. As one who catches at a shadow and pursues the wind, so is he who gives heed to dreams. The vision of dreams is this against that, the likeness of a face confronting a face. From an unclean thing, what will be made clean? And from something false, what will be true? Divinations and omens and dreams are folly. And like a woman in travail, the mind has fancies. Unless they are sent from the Most High as a visitation, do not give your mind to them, for dreams have deceived many, and those who put their hope in them have failed. Without such deceptions, the Torah will be fulfilled, and wisdom is made perfect in truthful lips. So in short, people have dreams all the time. I think we need to really get to a place where we can discern whether this is just a dream, and it's just like whatever, or if it's really from the Most High. And this is something that I believe we should seek him. Is this from you? Is this not from you? If it's not from you, let me forget it. If it's from you, please give me confirmation before we just go sharing and saying, this is from Yah, this is prophetic, this is going to happen. Because Deuteronomy 13 says it's really not good if we say Yah has said and he hasn't. And I think that's also, we really need to be careful about our words. And when we say, Yah told me, even little things like Yah told me to move here. Did he? Or, maybe you got a little conviction. Or maybe you were led to do something. Maybe let's choose our words a little better. I feel led. I feel called. I feel as though the Spirit may have impressed on my heart to do such and such. Not Yah told me. Because basically what you're saying is, he came down and said, do this. Whereas Jacob, how many times did Yah appear to him and talk to him? Maybe once or twice. Abraham, a couple times his whole life. And we got people saying that Yah told them something like almost every day. Maybe I'm wrong. All I'm saying is I think we should tread very carefully in this category. Verse 4, you shall walk after Yahuwah Haikum and fear him and guard his commandments and obey his voice, and you shall serve him and cleave unto him. This is what it means to serve him. To serve him means to fear him, to guard his commandments, obey his voice, cleaving unto him. That's how we serve him. In the end days, there's going to be a separation of people who serve him and who don't. Malachi 3:16, then they that feared Yahuwah spoke often one to another, and Yahuwah hearkened and heard it. And a book of remembrance was written before him for them that feared Yahuwah and that thought upon his name. And they shall be mine, says Yahuwah Sabaoth, in the day when I make up my jewels, and I will spare them as a man spares his own son that serves him. Then you shall return and discern between the righteous and the wicked, also known as between him that serves Elohim and him that serves him not. So, this is how we serve him. Deuteronomy 13:5, and that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death because he has spoken to turn you away from Yahuwah Haikum, which brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim and redeemed you out of the house of bondage, to thrust you out of the way which Yahuwah Haikum commanded you to walk in. So shall you put the evil away from the midst of you. If your brother, the son of your mother, or your son, or your daughter, or the woman of your bosom, or your friend, which is as your own soul, entice you secretly, saying, let us go and serve other Elohim, which you have not known, you nor your fathers, namely of the Elohim of the people which are round about you, nigh unto you, or far off from you, from the one end of the earth even to the other end of the earth. You shall not consent unto them, nor hearken unto them. Neither shall your eye pity him, neither shall you spare, neither shall you conceal him, but you shall surely kill him. Your hand shall be first upon him to put him to death, and afterwards the hand of all the people. And you shall stone him with stones, that he die, because he has sought to thrust you away from Yahuwah Haikum, which brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, from the house of bondage. And all Yasharel shall hear and fear, and shall do no more any such wickedness as this is among you. If you shall hear, say, in one of your cities, which Yahuwah Haikum has given you to dwell there, saying, certain men, the children of Belial, are gone out from among you, and have withdrawn the inhabitants of their city, saying, let us go and serve other Elohim, which you have not known. Then you shall inquire, and make search, and ask diligently, and behold, if it be truth, and the thing certain that such abomination is wrought amongst you, you shall surely smite the inhabitants of that city with the edge of the sword, destroying it utterly, and all that is therein, and the cattle thereof, with the edge of the sword. And you shall gather all the spoil of it into the midst of the street thereof, and shall burn it with fire, the city and all the spoil thereof, every whit, for Yahuwah Haikum, and it shall be a heap forever. It shall not be built again. So some people will say, well, you want to keep Torah, huh? Do this part. Well, that's not for us. We're not, and this is something specifically in the land. When we're in our land, we see examples of that, like Daniel. Daniel was in Babylon. You didn't see him going around and doing these kind of things. So in dispersion, it's a total no-go. Deuteronomy, and plus we're at a time where Messiah said we're not to kill. We're not to do this thing. Luke 9:54 through 56. And when his disciples James and John saw this, they said, Master, will you that we command fire to come down from heaven and consume them, even as Elijah did? But he turned and rebuked them and said, you know not of what manner of spirit you are. For the Son of Man has not come to destroy men's lives, but to save them. And they went to another village. So until Messiah comes back, we're in a time of laying down our lives for the truth's sake. Deuteronomy 13:17, and there shall cleave not of the cursed thing to your hand, that Yahuwah may turn from the fierceness of his anger and show you mercy, and have compassion on you, and multiply you, as he has sworn unto your fathers. When you shall hearken to the voice of Yahuwah Haikum, to guard all his commandments, which I command you this day, to do that which is right in the eyes of Yahuwah Elohim. Chapter 14, food. Just like a Leviticus 11. You are the children of Yahuwah Haikum. You shall not cut yourselves, nor make any baldness between your eyes for the dead. We see this in 1 Kings 18:20 through 40. This is when Elijah was going against the priests of Baal. And you'll see here... And they cried aloud and cut themselves after their custom with swords and lances until the blood gushed out upon them. So, amazing story. If you haven't not read 1 Kings 18:20 through 40 in a while, it is time. Refresh yourselves on that. Amazing, amazing story. Okay. Verse 2 of chapter 14. For you are a holy people unto Yahuwah Haikum, and Yahuwah has chosen you to be a peculiar people unto himself above all the nations that are upon the earth. So while the earth is saying we're all one people, we're stronger together, Yahuwah says that we are his chosen possession above all the people of the earth. That's what he says. Right now we're nothing. We're scattered, we're in dispersion, but when he gathers us, he'll gather us to set us above the nations. That's what his promise is. We have to keep our end of the bargain. You shall not eat any abominable thing. So unclean food is abominable. This is important. Food laws are important. I think that's part of the big three. What's the big three? I think it's the big three major differences of what sets us apart from the rest of the world. The seventh day Shabbat, the feast days as opposed to the world's holidays, and clean eating. I believe those are the big three. Those are the biggest three offenders of this world, and those are the biggest three things that I think we turn to him quickly. It's no wonder how much the world pushes unclean foods. Let's talk about it. These are the beasts which you shall eat: the ox, the sheep, and the goat. Want to talk about the big three? These are the big three as far as yummy food, yummy meat. The deer, and the roebuck, and the fallow deer, and the wild goat, and the pygarg, and the ox, and the chamois. Every beast that parts the hoof, and cleaves the cleft unto the claws, and chews the cud among the beasts, that you shall eat. You know, chewing the cud, it's chewing the cud means like they eat it, they swallow it, they spit it back up, it chews more, swallow it, spit it back up. It's like they process the food so much. Nevertheless, these you shall not eat of them that chew the cud, or of them that divide the cloven hoof, as the camel, the hare, the rabbit, the coney, they chew the cud, so you'll see them, but divide not the hoof. Therefore they are unclean unto you. Deuteronomy 14:8. Oops. And the swine, the pig, because it divides the hoof, yet chews not the cud, it is unclean unto you. You shall not eat of their flesh, nor touch their dead carcass. Don't touch it. Don't even touch the swine, it says. This is the major offender right here. I think I saw statistics that 70% of all meat that's consumed on the earth is pork. Do you think that's any coincidence? No. Well, some people would say, well, why would he make it tasty then? Really, it's not. The only thing that makes it tasty is, well, the only thing I ever liked of that back in the day was sausage. It's because of the sage. You can make any other meat taste that same yummy taste. But thinking back of these foods, if I want to be at a place that I love what Yahuwah loves and I hate what he hates. He calls it an abomination when people eat this. So to me, when I look back now, it's abominable. Like, how did I even do that? Disgusting. And some people would say, well, I don't want to give it up. That's stubbornness. That's hardness of heart. It's humbling to say, you know what? It does taste good, but I'm going to drop it because you said so, and I trust you and I love you. And I think that's a big test in these days. I think it's a big step. If you're listening to this and you haven't stopped eating these foods yet, I would consider you I would ask you to consider this, especially taking into consideration. And why is Isaiah 19 up here? Oh, here, Isaiah 66. Isaiah, this is a future prophecy. For behold, Yahuwah will come with fire and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will Yahuwah plead with all flesh, and the slain of Yahuwah shall be many. Just like Messiah says, many shall come to me in that day, saying, Master, Master, did we not do this and this? And he's like, I don't know, I never knew you. He says, few shall find the narrow gate. Few shall find life. Many will be destroyed. For they that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the gardens behind one tree, in the midst, eating swine's flesh, and the abomination. What we just said, unclean meats are abomination. And the mouse, Yahuwah shall be consumed together, says Yahuwah. They're going to be destroyed at his return. This is basically what it's saying, is at his return, people sitting around eating mice, which check out Asia, and pork, he's going to destroy. And you would say, oh, he's going to, I serve him all my life and he's going to destroy me just because I'm eating pork. That's what he says. Isaiah is authoritative. That is scripture. In any case, all I'm saying is, if you haven't decided to put it down yet, please consider it. Those of you that have decided to do it, hallelujah. You've made a big step What goes in your mouth is extremely important. When Messiah said what goes in your mouth comes out of the draft and that doesn't defile you, he's not talking about unclean food. He's talking about, hey, chill out on your rules saying you have to wash your hands before you eat. Show me that where it says in the Torah. It doesn't. He's saying that eating with hands that are not clean or washed doesn't defile you. Because if that was the case, if you can just put anything in your mouth, then why can't you just shove it full of, just garbage and GMO foods and a bunch of drugs and pills, and that doesn't defile you? Come on. Let's be reasonable. Deuteronomy 14:9, these shall you eat of all that are in the waters, all that have fins and scales shall you eat. And by the way, giving up pork is not hard. Have you tried beef bacon lately? How about beef sausage? Turkey bacon's not for me. I think it's disgusting. I'm just going to be honest with you. But beef bacon is great. Go to your, hopefully you have like a hometown butcher or like maybe a farm that can get that stuff easy. Anyways, you're not giving up much. You can make your own sausage with beef, ground beef. Is it ground beef? I don't know. I don't know how you make it, but I'm thankful that I have people near me that raise their own cattle and do their own meat. Thank you. These you shall eat of all that are in the waters. All that have fins and scales shall you eat. And whatsoever has not fins and scales, you may not eat. It is unclean to you. What are the common offenders here? Well, shellfish, mollusks, scallops, clams, oysters, shrimp. These are main staples of this world. And it's no wonder. It's been a while since I looked at TV, but really, the couple times that I've glanced over, like if I'm somewhere and the TV's on, and I'm like, 80 to probably 90% of all food commercials have abominable food in there. Check out our shrimp scampi. Check out our pizza loaded with pepperoni and sausage and bacon and our baconator. Come on. You don't think Hasatan, that has control of this world, has these temptations out there to get people to transgress Yah's ways, to flip everything upside down? Of course he does. So whatever has not fins and scales, that you may not eat. So what does have fins and scales? Well, fish. Check out some yummy trout. Some people say tuna is not, because they have very small scales, but they got scales. Tuna, in my opinion, is good to go. Of all clean birds you shall eat. Oh, which ones are those? The bird ones is the bird one is the most highly debated. We'll talk about that in a second. But these are they which you shall not eat. So in the bird category, it's like birds are clean and are good, except for these, the ones that I'm going to mention. At least how I see it. The eagle, the ossifrage, the osprey, the glede, and the kite, and the vulture after his kind, and every raven after his kind, and the owl, and the nighthawk, and the cuckoo, and the hawk after his kind, the little owl, and the great owl, and the swan, and the pelican, and the gyre eagle, and the cormorant, and the stork, and the heron after her kind, and the lapwing, and the bat. So these are birds of prey, for the most part. And every creeping thing that flies is unclean unto you; they shall not be eaten. However, we do find out in Leviticus that locusts are clean. But of all clean fowls you may eat. And that leaves it wide open. You're like, well, which ones are clean? Well, we know that quail is clean, at least. Doves, pigeons, those are clean. What else? The big dispute is typically chickens and ducks. Are chickens and ducks clean? And I've got some really good and close brothers and sisters that would say that chickens are unclean and ducks are unclean. Mostly because people that raise them, they look at pigs and they're like, pigs eat everything. No wonder they're unclean. They eat trash. They'll eat an arm. They'll eat their own arm. Well, guess what? Chickens are very similar, so people would put two and two together and be like, well, that must be it. However, I would say that I believe it has to do with the filtration system. Look at a cow. They've got like seven stomachs, and it takes a long time from mouth to other end. Pig, it's like an hour or 2 hours from mouth to the other side. The toxins just get dumped into their flesh. I believe it has a lot to do with the filtration system. And the Targums lend a little interesting things here. as I've said before, you've noticed that we have not gone over the Targums as much this year. I've kind of backed off them a little bit. I was really excited about them last year because of the evidence of the Word being all throughout the Torah, being our Messiah clearly visible all through the Torah. And I think that was something that was removed from the Septuagint and the Masoretic texts. However, with that being said, the Aramaic I don't believe is perfect by any means, because you can tell that there's Jewish insertions all over the place here, and that's why I've kind of backed off a little bit of them here. I don't want to get too deep into these anymore. However, from time to time, when a topic is highly debatable and you're like, well, there's not a whole lot of scripture here, if there's any other information to consider, I think we should at least consider it. Every bird which has a vesicle or a crop which may be picked away, and which bird is longer than a finger, and not of the rapacious kind, you may eat. Rapacious being birds of prey, which we see already has mentioned here, because there are birds of prey with crops. So this is saying birds with a crop that are not birds of prey are clean, and that does what does fall into that category is a chicken, a turkey. That's another one. Almost every year, last couple of years in the Torah community, every year, when people are eating turkey for Thanksgiving, they're calling it the abomination of desolation because people will call turkeys unclean. I disagree in love, of course. But at this point, I'm getting long-winded here. At this point, I believe that chickens and turkeys are clean, and I believe they're, especially chicken eggs, are good to go. I would obviously recommend ones that are cage-free and pasture. What's that called? Free range? How about that? There you go. I don't know. Anyways, that's just where I'm at. And if you disagree with me, hey, I love you anyways. Handshake. Hug. Come here. Hug. Okay. Let's go. You shall not eat of, back to Deuteronomy 14:21. You shall not eat of anything that dies of itself. You shall give it unto the stranger that is in your gates, that he may eat it, or you may sell it unto an alien. For you are a holy people unto Yahuwah. You shall not see the kid in his mother's milk. There it is again. And if you look, the Targums are not perfect. I just said, if you look at the Targums, it'll go through that Jewish tradition that you can't eat milk, or dairy, and meat together, which is, I believe, is totally not what the Torah is saying. I think it's saying what it says. All right, so food, highly important, I believe, and that is a thing that sets us apart. When it comes to food, I think we should get to a place where I think we should be very careful with what we eat, and I think we should have some foresight and some foreknowledge of what's going in our mouth. So, for example, let's say you go to Subway, which I wouldn't recommend because it's just full of GMO whatever food, but let's say you go to Subway. And let's say they I don't know if they still do it this way. It's been years since I've been there, but they used to put the meat on the counter and they'd like slice it and they put it on the bread and whatever. Well, what if your turkey or whatever just set right down on top of where salami and pepperoni was? Well, now your food's getting mixed with that. We're not even supposed to touch the dead carcass of a pig. What about you order pizza and you get pizza, and sure, you get a cheese pizza or a veggie pizza or whatever, or whatever, and they just got done slicing through that Baconator pizza, the triple bacon or in sausage, and that same roller they cut yours with. What about you go to a diner? Do they cook your eggs on the same surface they cook bacon on? Some do, some don't. I think I'm not saying that you can't eat out anymore. I think we just have to be a little diligent. I think this comes... Being set apart comes with a little bit of care and a little bit of diligence. I think some of us are getting to a point where we can easily navigate these things and just ask questions. Don't be rude about it. Just say, hey, the eggs or the omelet, is that cooked on the same surface as sausage and bacon? Like, oh yeah. Oh, okay. All right. Oh, then have a backup ready. Maybe it's time to get oatmeal or something. I don't know. I'm just saying. I think it's worth the effort. That's just where I'm at. Pizza. You can just say, hey, you know what? Is there any way that you guys can use a clean cutter on mine and not a cutter that's been cutting through meat and other things? And most of the time, I'm like, sure, no problem. I don't know. Just some things to consider. I think food is important. I think what goes in our mouth is important. differently than what Messiah was saying, that when you don't wash your hands, it doesn't defile you. I am still saying that what goes in your mouth is important, because you can look at, this came up in discussion this last week at our local fellowship here, and you see 2 times where it's like, eat whatever's set before you. Paul says it, and of course Messiah said it. Messiah said it to the apostles when he sent them out to go preach and to go heal. And he said, eat whatever's set before you. And so it could be interpreted as, well, if they set like a pulled pork in front of you, just eat it, you know? They said set before you. That's what Messiah said. But we know concretely that that's not what happened, because years later, even after Messiah was dead and rose again, Peter had that vision in Acts 10 where the sheet was coming down, and he's like, I have never eaten anything unclean or common. So we can go back to that time where Messiah said, eat whatever set before you. We know Peter didn't eat anything unclean. Those things are not even considered food. Just something to consider. Deuteronomy 14:22, tithes. You shall truly tithe all the increase of your seed, that the field brings forth year by year. And you shall eat before Yahuwah in the place which he shall choose to place his name there, the tithe of your grain, of your wine, of your oil, and of the firstlings of your herd and of your flocks, that you may learn to fear Yahuwah always, and if the way be too long for you, so that you are not able to carry it, or if the place be too far from you, which Yahuwah shall choose to set his name there, then Yahuwah has blessed you. Then you shall turn it into money, and bind up the money in your hand, and shall go unto the place which Yahuwah shall choose. So some people will say tithing is only food or grain or wine. Here it says you can turn that into money and tithe that way. And you shall bestow that money for whatsoever your soul lusts after, for oxen, for sheep, for wine, for strong drink, or for whatsoever your soul desires. And you shall eat therefore before Yahuwah, and you shall rejoice, you and your household. So this is saying, hey, if you want some strong drink, some wine, strong drink, have at it. It is Torah. It's Torah to be able to do so. Some people have questioned why it are the feast days that we do and allow people to come and feast with us. Why I allow alcohol? Well, right here. Do we know that some people can improperly use it? Oh, absolutely. I want to share a testament of Judah. Here we go. Testament of Judah, chapter 3, verse 10. And now, my children, I say unto you, be not drunk with wine, for wine turns the mind away from the truth, and inspires the passion of lust, and leads the eyes into error. For the spirit of fornication has wine as a minister to give pleasure to the mind. For these two also take away the mind of a man. For if a man drink wine to drunkenness, it disturbs the mind with filthy thoughts, and leading to fornication, and heats the body to carnal union. And if the occasion of the lust be present, he works the sin, and is not ashamed. Such is the inebriated man, my children. For he who is drunken reverences no man. For lo, it also made me to err, so that I was not ashamed of the multitude in the city, and that before the eyes of all I turned aside unto Tamar, and wrought a great sin, and I uncovered the covering of my son's shame. And after I had drunk wine, I reverenced not the commandment of Elohim, and I took a woman of Canaan to wife. For much discretion needs the man who drinks wine, my children, and herein is discretion in drinking wine. A man may drink so long as he preserves modesty. But if he go beyond this limit, the spirit of deceit attacks his mind, and it makes the drunkard to talk filthily, and to transgress, and to not be ashamed, but even to glory in his shame, and to account himself honorable. So there's a difference between drinking in moderation and drunkenness, is the point here. Deuteronomy 14:27, and the Levite that is within your gates, you shall not forsake him, for he has no part nor inheritance with you. At the end of 3 years you shall bring forth all the tithe of your increase the same year, and shall lay it up within your gates. And the Levite, because he has no part nor inheritance with you, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow, which are within your gates, shall come, and shall eat and be satisfied, that Yahuwah may bless you in all the work of your hand which you do. Tithing is important. Tithing is Torah. Some would say that tithing is done because of the priesthood's done. Well, listen, there's always people in need. There's always people you can give your increase to, whether it be widow or orphan or a family in need, poor, maybe a ministry. But there's a place where it can go. And I think Yah does bless that still. And I believe it is still for today. So pray about it. Consider it. Deuteronomy 15, verses 1 through 3. At the end of every 7 years you shall make a release, and this is the manner of the release. Every creditor that lends aught unto his neighbor shall release it. He shall not exact it of his neighbor or of his brother, because it is Yahuwah's release. Of a foreigner you may exact it again, but that which is yours with your brother your hand shall release. So, what if you lend somebody money? Maybe this is something you can exercise. You don't think Yah would look at that and be like, okay. 15:4. Save when there shall be no poor among you, for Yahuwah shall greatly bless you in the land which Yahuwah gives you for an inheritance to possess it. Only if you carefully hearken unto the voice of Yahuwah to guard to do all these commandments which I command you this day. For Yahuwah blesses you, as he promised you, and you shall lend unto many nations, but you shall not borrow. It's like kind of the opposite of where we are now. And you shall reign over many nations, but they shall not reign over you. If there be among you a poor man of one of your brethren within any of your gates in your land which Yahuwah gives you, you shall not harden your heart, nor shut your hand from your poor brother, but you shall open your hand wide unto him, and shall surely lend him sufficient for his need in that which he wants. Beware that there be not a thought in your wicked heart, saying, the 7th year, the year of release is at hand, and your eye be evil against your poor brother, and you give him nothing, and he cry unto El Yahuwah against you, and it be sin unto you. You shall surely give him, and your heart shall not be grieved when you give unto him, because that for this thing Yahuwah shall bless you in all your works, and in all that you put your hand unto. For the poor shall never cease out of the land. Therefore I command you, saying, you shall open your hand wide unto your brother, to your poor, and to your needy in your own land. This is something that we can obviously still take into consideration today. Sirach 4. My son, deprive not the poor of his living, and do not keep needy eyes waiting. Do not grieve the one who is hungry, nor anger a man in want. Do not add unto the troubles of an angry mind, nor delay your gift to a beggar. Nor do not reject an afflicted suppliant, nor turn your face away from the poor. Do not avert your eye from the needy, nor give a man occasion to curse you. For if in bitterness of soul he calls down a curse upon you, his Creator will hear his prayer. Make yourself beloved in the congregation. Bow your head low to a great man. Incline your ear to the poor, and answer him peaceably and gently. Deliver him who is wrong from the hand of the wrongdoer, and do not be faint-hearted in judging a case. Be like a father to orphans, and instead of a husband to their mother. You will then be like a son of the Most High, and he will love you more than he does your mother. Sirach 7:31-36. Fear Yahuwah and honor the priest, and give him his portion as is commanded you, the firstfruits, the guilt offering, the gift of the shoulders, the sacrifice of sanctification, and the firstfruits of the holy things. Stretch forth your hand to the poor, so that your blessing may be complete. Give graciously to all the living, and withhold not kindness from the dead. Do not fail those who weep, but mourn with those who mourn. Do not shrink from visiting a sick man, because for such deeds you will be loved. In all that you do, remember the end of your life, and you will never sin. Sirach 29:1-13. He that shows mercy will lend to his neighbor, and he that strengthens him with his hand keeps the commandments. Lend to your neighbor in the time of his need, and in turn repay your neighbor promptly. Confirm your word and keep faith with him, and on every occasion you will find what you need. Many persons regard a loan as a windfall, and cause trouble to those who help them. Many will kiss another's hands until he gets a loan, and will lower his voice in speaking of his neighbor's money. But at the time for repayment he will delay, and will pay in words of unconcern, and will find fault with the time. If the lender exert pressure, he will hardly get back half, and will regard that as a windfall. If he does not, the borrower has robbed him of his money, and he has needlessly made him his enemy. He will repay him with curses and reproaches, and instead of glory will repay him with dishonor. Because of such wickedness, therefore, many have refused to lend. They have been afraid of being defrauded needlessly. So now he's getting ready to say, don't be that way. Nevertheless, be patient with a man in humble circumstances, and do not make him wait for your alms. Help a poor man for the commandment's sake, and because of his need, do not send him away empty. Lose your silver for the sake of a brother or a friend, and do not let it rust under a stone and be lost. Lay up your treasure according to the commandments of the Most High, and it will profit you more than gold. Store up almsgiving in your treasury, and it will rescue you from all affliction. More than a mighty shield and more than a heavy spear, it will fight on your behalf against your enemy. There's some wise words about giving. Deuteronomy 15:12. And if your brother a Hebrew man or a Hebrew woman be sold unto you, and serve you 6 years, then in the 7th year you shall let him go for free. And when you send him out free from you, you shall not let him go away empty. You shall furnish him liberally out of your flock, and out of your floor, and out of your winepress. Of that wherewith Yahuwah has blessed you, you shall give unto him. And you shall remember that you were a bondman in the land of Mitzrayim, and Yahuwah redeemed you. Therefore I command you to do this thing today. This is actually indentured servitude. This is actually what started to really build this country. People would come from Europe and other places, and they wouldn't have any money. They wouldn't even have any money for the boat ticket, but they would sell themselves for a landowner to pay their way, and they served them 6 years, and in the 7th year they were released and got a portion of their own land. It's kind of how this country was built. And it shall be, if he say unto you, I will not go away from you, because he loves you, and your house, because he is well with you, then you shall take an awl and thrust it through his ear unto the door, and he shall be your servant forever. And also unto your maidservant you shall do likewise. It shall not seem hard unto you when you send him away free from you, for he has been worth a double hired servant to you, in serving you 6 years. And Yahuwah shall bless you in all that you do. So it's like, Yahweh's like, if you do the right thing, I'm going to bless you. Even though you're like, you give to the poor, the hungry, the orphan, or lend to people, even though it's probably not a great idea, or you might not get that money back, or whatever it is, or you send out a servant with all their needs. He's like, I'm going to bless you. Just trust me. All the firstling males that come of your herd and of your flock, you shall sanctify unto Yahuwah. You shall do no work with the firstling of your bullock, nor shear the firstling of your sheep. You shall eat it before Yahuwah year by year, in the place which Yahweh shall choose, you and your household. And if there be any blemish therein, as if it be lame or blind or have any ill blemish, you shall not sacrifice it unto Yahuwah. You shall eat it within your gates. The unclean and the clean person shall eat it alike, as the roebuck and as the deer. Only you shall not eat the blood thereof. You shall pour it upon the ground as water. So, all right, chapter 16, last chapter. We're going to go to verse 17, and the Torah portion's over. Guard, shamar. Shamar. Amazing word. Guard the month of Abib, and keep the Pesach Passover unto Yahuwah. For in the month of Abib, Yahuwah brought you forth out of Mitzrayim by night. You shall therefore sacrifice the Pesach unto Yahuwah of the flock and of the herd, in the place which Yahweh shall choose to place his name there. You shall eat no leavened bread with it. 7 days you shall eat matzah, therewith even the bread of affliction. For you came forth out of the land of Mitzrayim in haste, that you may remember the day when you came forth out of the land of Mitzrayim, all the days of your life. So we talked about this, that is, the Pesach is only supposed to be where the place which Yahweh shall choose to place his name there. We read earlier all the verses that his spirit now dwells in his people, and we read even in the 144,000 his name was written on their foreheads. So the place where he puts his name, I believe that's with his people. I believe that's wherever we go. You may not sacrifice the Pesach within any of your gates which Yahweh gives you, but at the place which Yahuwah shall choose to place his name in, there you shall sacrifice the Pesach at evening, at the going down of the sun, at the season that you came forth out of Mitzrayim. And ye shall roast it and eat it in the place which Yahuwah shall choose, and ye shall turn in the morning and go into your tents. 6 days you shall eat matzah, and on the 7th day shall be a solemn assembly to Yahuwah. You shall do no work therein. So, speaking of only doing it in Jerusalem, consider this. When Moshe is given these commandments in Deuteronomy, here just a few months later, Joshua and the Israelites go across the Jordan into Gilgal in the Plains of Jericho. In Joshua 5:10, and the children of Israel camped in Gilgal and kept the Passover on the 14th day of the month at even in the Plains of Jericho. Hold on, back up. Moses just a few months ago just said, don't do it anywhere but in the place where I put my name. So either Joshua just said, you know what, that old guy just crazy. We can just do it wherever we want. Or Joshua knew that commandment stood for when they actually had the land in possession. They didn't have it in possession yet, so they kept it right there in Gilgal. Well, what about us? We're not in the land. I believe we can keep it where we are. We're in Egypt. We're in dispersion. We're going to do the best we can. Deuteronomy 16:9. 7 weeks shall you number unto you, to begin to number the 7 weeks from time as you begin to put the sickle to the grain for the first fruit harvest. And you shall keep the feast of Shavuot, the feast of weeks, unto Yahuwah with a tribute of a freewill offering of your hand, which you shall give unto Yahuwah according as Yahuwah has blessed you. And you shall rejoice before Yahuwah, you and your son, and your daughter, and your manservant, and your maidservant, and the Levite that is within your gates, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow that are among you, in the place which Yahuwah has chosen to place his name there. And you shall remember that you were a bondman in Mitzrayim, and you shall guard to do these statutes. You shall keep the feast of Sukkot, coming real soon. 7 days after that you have gathered in your threshing floor and your wine. And ye shall rejoice in your feast, you and your son, and your daughter, and your manservant, and your maidservant, and the Levite, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow that are within your gates. 7 days shall you keep a solemn feast unto Yahuwah in the place which Yahweh shall choose, because Yahuwah shall bless you in all your increase, in all the works of your hands. Therefore you shall surely rejoice. 3 times in a year shall all your males appear before Yahuwah in the place which he shall choose, in the feast of Matzah, and in the feast of Shavuot, and in the feast of Sukkot, and they shall not appear before Yahuwah empty. Every man shall give as he is able, according to the blessing of Yahuwah which he has given you. Something kind of interesting. So that's the end of the Torah portion. So something interesting here in the Targums. Again, not perfect, but just something to consider. Be mindful to keep the times of the festivals with the intercalations of the year, and observe the rotation thereof. What is intercalation? In timekeeping is insertion of a leap day, week, or month into some calendar years to make the calendar to follow the seasons or moon phases. Lunisolar calendars may require intercalations of both days and months. And this is just lending credibility to the existence of the 13th month, which I actually just did a video about that yesterday and forgot to put that in there as evidence. But nevertheless, there's other evidences out there of the existence of a 13th month to justify using the sun, the moon, and the stars all together combined for what I believe is the right way to keep the calendar. But enough calendar talk. That concludes our Torah portion. Just a reminder, Sukkot is coming up real soon. If you want to come and celebrate with us, we'll be doing it in Lebanon, Missouri, where we did it last year. One of the best times of my life. You're invited. If you want to come, come. There will be a link in the description box if you choose to rejoice with us. So with that, let's pray. Heavenly Father, Yahuwah Most High, our Elohim, the Elohim of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Jacob, we thank you, Father, for allowing us to gather like this in the Spirit to study your word, to discern it, to be faithful hearers and doers, Father. And we just thank you so much for forgiveness of sins through Messiah Yahushua, your word, your Son. And we just bless you, and we are just eagerly awaiting the return of Messiah Yahushua, for you to come and bring judgment to this earth, to the wickedness of this world, and to stop those the so-called elite or the princes of this world, the kings of this world who are doing such wickedness, Father. We are looking forward to Messiah being the ruler and king of this earth. We love you and bless you and say Shabbat Shalom. Amen and Hallelujah. So we'll do a couple songs. We'll do 2 songs. I don't know. 3 songs. Whatever. Shabbat Shalom.
יברכך יחוה וישמרך יאר יחוה פניו לך וחונקה יישא יחוה פניו לך לך שלום יישא יחוה פניו לך ויעשה לך שלום ויעשה לך שלום ויעשה לך שלום
bless you and keep you. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace.
Wrestling in our soul that long to know our great Adon. As we wander in the wilderness, we lift our cry up to receive his rest. Who is our Elohim? Oh, his voice is calling. Let us come to Mount Zion to praise him alone. Oh Israel, lay down your idols, bow to Yahuwah. Let us come to Mount Zion to praise him alone. Is a wrestling in our soul that long to know our great Adon. As we wander in the wilderness, we lift our cry up to receive his rest. Who is our Elohim? Oh, his voice is calling. Let us come to Mount Zion to praise him alone. Oh Israel, lay down your idols and bow to Yahuwah. Let us come to Mount Zion to praise him alone. Praise him alone. We praise the El of Yaakov, who was and is to come. We praise the El of Yaakov, who gave his one and only Son to make us free and forgiven. Oh, we praise the El of Yaakov. We praise the El of